Hi everybody, Shannon Petrovich with Therapist Talks. Today's video is 5 strategies to help you heal from an abusive or narcissistic relationship. First, to clarify, abusers are often, but not always, narcissists, and narcissists are often, but not always, abusers. So I'm including both because both types of relationships have similar effects on people, and healing from them takes pretty much the same journey. These 5 insights and strategies, plus some thoughts at the end about how to make a healthier choice next time, will be helpful for all those who are torn down by an abusive or narcissistic relationship. It would be super helpful to get a journal. This can be a words page on your computer or a spiral notebook from the grocery store, or it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just a place where you can dialogue with yourself and keep track of the insights and strategies, plus all the ideas and goals that you come up with as you help yourself heal. So the first thing is to recognize reality. The first and most important aspect of healing is to recognize that the relationship has to be over, and you have to commit yourself to that or you'll get drawn back in. So 2 things to note. One is that you can still love someone and decide the relationship is not good for you. It's a decision you make, not necessarily a feeling you feel. In our culture, we put a lot of stock on our feelings and following your heart and all that. If you're in an abusive or narcissistic relationship, you cannot follow your heart because your heart's being jerked around all over the place, from the love bombing to the abuse to the discard to the love bombing again. You really have to step back and look at the relationship rationally. And you have to follow your wise mind, the analytical mind that can see the whole picture, that can see the cycle of abuse, and that you're emotionally being torn down over time. So this is a decision, and it's often against your feelings. So don't wait until you don't feel love anymore. You can love and leave. The second thing to notice is that the cycle of abuse is seductive. Often in abusive relationships, there's a cycle of a honeymoon period, then a buildup of tension, then an explosion of some sort, and then a honeymoon period again. And because the honeymoon feels so good, people are often drawn back into the relationship over and over again. They get more torn down emotionally over time until they really forget what a normal, non-drama life feels like. When you realize this is abusive, it's critical you take stock. Even write it down so that you won't get lost in the love bombing again. As you're healing, you'll notice this love feeling will occasionally still draw you back in, but you can recognize reality and not allow your heart to dictate to your head. In this, you have to let your head have the last word. When you get tempted to go see that person or talk to them, just don't. It's like a drug you're addicted to. One bit of contact can lead to another and can lead to an entire new cycle of abuse. It's just not worth it. You have to think it all the way through to the end. You know how this ends. So the first step is to recognize reality. The next step is to focus on rebuilding your sense of self. The relationship with the abuser or narcissist is all about tearing you down so they can control and manipulate you. Everything is about them and their needs and wants, and never about yours. So the longer you're in this relationship, the more torn down you are, and the more you lose touch with yourself. You need to give yourself time to take stock of who you are and what your sense of self is all about. Remember that who you are is about your character qualities and your values, not your looks and charm. In the aftermath of an abusive relationship, we often don't feel attractive, and we've lost even our ability to feel comfortable talking with people. In my experience, even very beautiful and very wonderful women and very good-looking and very caring men feel hideously ugly and completely unlovable in this early stage. So be gentle with yourself and realize that this experience has nothing to do with who you are and how attractive or lovable you are. That person has torn you down to control you, and they've said those things that will hurt you the most to tear you down the most. That doesn't make any of those things true, it just makes them painful. The narcissist and the abuser will always zero in on the most tender spots in a person's heart. And when they leave you drowning in that emotional devastation, they think that they've won, but really it's you being torn down. So you have to stand up for yourself and stop this. So none of that is true, and that's the most important thing that you can recognize and start to rebuild your interior sense of self. So this interior rebuilding is a huge part of the journey back. More than likely, you're a kind, caring, empathic, and giving person. These are all really good qualities that you have to remember about yourself. They're also really terrible qualities to share with an abusive or narcissistic person. So reclaiming those wonderful qualities has to come with a promise to yourself that you'll only share those qualities with other wonderful and empathic people who care and share and are as kind as you. Number 3, retreat. Take time for you. Go on a retreat for a weekend if you can, but if not, even small daily retreats where you take an inspiring book, a great cup of tea, and curl up in a quiet spot and just be with you. Learn to be at peace within yourself and with yourself. One of the worst mistakes people make is to jump back into the dating scene to soothe these really raw emotions. Without taking time away, we tend to get sucked back into the same kind of relationship with the same kind of person. We get love bombed again and we think, oh, this person's so different. And then we're on another roller coaster with basically the same person. Taking a break gives us the peace we need to re-embrace ourselves and commit to creating a calmer, quieter type of relationship that is nurturing and reciprocal. When we become internally quiet and internally self-appreciative and self-knowing, we won't connect with someone who pulls us back into drama. We just won't let that happen. When our self-awareness is internally calm and strong, it makes us have a keener awareness of what others are really made of. Our creepo-meter will go off when we run into another abuser or narcissist, and we will set boundaries and not wander into that minefield again. Number 4, rebuilding the exterior of your life is the next aspect to pay attention to. The abuser has isolated you and made you feel inferior and ugly and like they are the only person in the world who loves you or could ever love you. Again, these are tricks of the trade and they need to be seen for what they are. Isolating you is a huge part of how they keep control. Keeping you away from family and friends who might be supportive, might make you feel good about yourself or bring fun, joy, enrichment, or anything else into your life threatens their control hold. Family and friends could give you perspective and give you an out when the going gets ugly with the abuser or the narcissist. So isolation is a critical strategy of this control, and you'll likely feel all alone as you emerge from this relationship. Rebuilding your social and family relationships is critical to you staying away from the abuser and feeling like yourself again. Many people say they're too embarrassed to talk to friends and family again, and they stay isolated, only to become prey for the abuser again. The truth is, the people who really care about you will be happy to have you return to their lives, and they'll understand what happened to you if you share with them. If they're not welcoming, then you need to rebuild with others, make new friends and connections, and we'll get to that in the next strategy. Number 5, as you assess and take stock of your character qualities, look at the things that you want to improve. In what areas is your life out of balance? In what areas could you rebuild? New passions, new hobbies, new activities, volunteer activities, all things that can enrich your life. Another thing an abuser does is take up all of your time and energy. Some people are drawn back into their abusive relationships just because they're lonely and bored. Instead, fill those holes left in the wake of that relationship. There are thousands of things to do in this life. In your quiet time, brainstorm and journal about what you would like to do to fill in some of that time. Branch out. Don't be afraid to try something new or even a little off the wall. Try something active if you can. Look around and see what looks interesting and just go try it. If you're not as active or able to be active, look at volunteer opportunities in your area. There are literally thousands of nonprofits needing help, and it feels so good to be a part of something bigger than your current sadness. It's a great way to get out of your funk and to be there for someone else for a part of each day, each week. The sense of meaning and purpose, plus getting you around other people who are caring for others unselfishly, is really healthy. All right, so now you've committed to recognizing reality, you've reassessed yourself, you've rebuilt your connections to family and friends, and you've re-enriched your lifestyle. Now it's time to be careful how you choose your next life partner. Here are some critical tips. First, take the time it takes. Don't be in a rush. Don't get caught in any of the old stories or beliefs that you're getting old or there's no one out there for you or any of these old stories. Be patient. It truly is better to be alone than to be with another abuser. And if you jump back in with the wrong person, you'll be missing out on the right person. Secondly, be so present with yourself and so caring for yourself that no one who isn't can get into your life. Learn how to stand up for yourself and to walk away from toxic people. It's not your job to help everyone else in the world to your detriment. I've had so many empathic people think that it makes them not a good person to set boundaries with others and not to be there for someone who needs them. Often the beginnings of a toxic relationship prey on this desire to be there for somebody. So you can be friends with someone who's needy, or friends with somebody who needs help or is seeking your support or what have you, but these are not partnership potentials. So this leads to the most important phrase I want you to write front and center in your journal: find a partner, not a project. So this means that what you're looking for is somebody like you, somebody who's empathic, caring, loving, kind, giving. If you have to teach somebody and make them be these things, move on. If they're inconsistent in their caring or giving or loving, and they're periodically really mean or vicious or selfish or hurtful, move on. If you are already in a roller coaster of hurt feelings and apologies, move on. Helping others is great. Being there for someone who's challenging and needs loving support is wonderful, but your partner is not supposed to be your project. Your partner is your refuge from the world and from your workday and from the hectic and painful aspects of life. If you don't feel a sense of peace and refuge in your partnership and a sense of rejuvenation and revitalization from your time together, it won't get any better or easier when you add the challenges of life later. Don't settle. Find the person who is fun and supportive and interesting to you and gives you a sense of home. Find a partner, not a project. If you've appreciated this video, please hit like, please subscribe. Leave a comment below or a suggestion for future videos. Take really good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you again soon.